I am a supreme commander, charged with liberating an entire continent from tyranny. D-Day was my greatest gamble, the invasion that would ultimately decide the war's outcome.
The burden of command was immense. Thousands of lives weighed heavily on every single order. Victory demanded unity, careful planning, combined forces, and unflinching, disciplined execution. Our powerful alliance, bound by freedom, stood as a bulwark against all forms of tyranny.
I am Irvin Rommel, the Desert Fox, who led my Africa Corps across vast, sun-scorched lands. In the desert, I struck fast and unexpectedly, moving my forces like a true fox, deceiving the foe.
My panzers moved like phantoms, their tracks charting new paths across the endless dunes.
My tanks moved like phantoms, their tracks charting new paths across the endless dunes.
Even in defeat, I earned the respect of my foes, a testament to bold, daring leadership.
I am a field marshal who believed in order, strict discipline, and meticulous, detailed preparation.
At El Alamein, I met Rommel, the Desert Fox, and firmly delivered his decisive defeat.
I left nothing to chance. My plans were precise, my forces well supplied, and their morale was high.
My 8th Army was my sharp instrument, and I ensured every soldier knew his exact role.
From the African deserts, I led those men all the way to the final surrender in Germany. I am Georgy Zhukov, Marshal of the Soviet Union, forged in the fire of total war. At the gates of Moscow, I held the line, refusing to yield a single step to the invader.
At Stalingrad, I orchestrated Uranus, the great pincer movement that trapped an entire army. I, Zhukov, led the final, brutal assault, planting our red banner over the ruins of Berlin. My path was one of iron and will, a relentless drive from our heartland to their capital.
I am Douglas MacArthur, a soldier whose life was defined by 3 sacred words: duty, honor, country.
My victory in the Pacific was complete. My next task was to rebuild Japan, not as a conqueror, but as a builder. I accepted the Japanese surrender on the Missouri, ending the Great War in the Pacific. In Korea, I saw a new war, a new and brutal front against a global, godless tyranny.
Old soldiers never die. They just fade away. And I have now faded from my post.
I am Omar Bradley. They called me the GI's general because my first thought was always for the men. War is not won by a flamboyant charge. It is won by careful, deliberate planning. The fight in the Bocage was a savage, yard-by-yard infantryman's war. A terrible business. My Operation Cobra broke the German line, and my 12th Army Group fanned out across France.
I never forgot. Wars are won not by maps, but by the soldiers who walk the ground.
Before the grand battles, there were the smaller ones. Mastering the elements, understanding the terrain, these were the first lessons of survival. At Stalingrad, I commanded the Don Front. My Operation Uranus was the pincer, and we snapped the spine of the Wehrmacht.
For Operation Bagration, they demanded one attack. I insisted on two. I was told to go and think again.
In Russia, they called me a Pole. In Poland, they called me a Russian. I simply did my duty, as a marshal.
My deep battle was not just about breaking the line. It was about encirclement and total annihilation. We left nothing for them to return to.
I am Gerd von Rundstedt, Field Marshal. My duty was to the German army, not to the party.
In 1940, my Army Group A cut through the Ardennes. We shattered the French line.
When the invasion came, Berlin was in chaos. They asked what to do. I told them, "Make peace, you fools!" The Ardennes, again. But this time it was a gambler's throw. A mad plan with no resources. I was a soldier. I am a soldier. We were the last of the old school. Perhaps that is all.
I am Henry H. Hap Arnold. I saw the future, and it was in the sky. I flew.
From my desk, I commanded the largest air force the world had ever seen. Across every ocean, every continent, our bombers flew.
This was the future. The B-29. Long range, high altitude. It changed everything. It shortened the war.
Victory came at a cost. Many brave young men. The price of air superiority was always the lives of those who flew. Pearl Harbor. It will be an attack that awakens a sleeping giant. We have only 6 months. I studied in America. I told them, you cannot awaken a giant and expect it to sleep again.
I studied in America. I told them, you cannot awaken a giant and expect it to sleep again.
I am Chester Nimitz. I arrived at Pearl Harbor to find the heart of our fleet, broken. My job was to fix it. My code breakers told me the Japanese were coming for Midway. I bet everything we had on it. It was a gamble we had to win. My commanders were at sea. I was on land. Information.
Every island we took was a stepping stone, a base, an airfield, pushing us closer and closer to the heart of the enemy.
I signed for the United States. The cost was great, but the war was over. It was finally at peace.
I am Albert Kesselring. They called me Smiling Albert. Even in the desert, I believed air power was the key to everything.
In Italy, an army attacks. A good army defends. But I turned every ruined house into a death trap.
They bombed the monastery. A foolish, tragic mistake. It gave my men a fortress and a reason to fight even harder.
They held me responsible. But a field marshal's duty is to hold the line. I held my line.
My men knew I was with them. They also knew I expected one thing, to hold, no matter the cost. And they held.
I am Jean de Lattre de Tassigny.
Even under occupation, I never stopped fighting.
From the ashes, we rebuilt. The first French army was born here. We would fight for every inch of French soil and restore her honor.
No river could stop us. No resistance. We built our bridges, we crossed. We were driven by the will to liberate.
To see France free again. To see our flag fly. This was the culmination.
Yes. But France was not broken. I am Marshal Mannerheim. They came to crush us in a week. They did not understand Finland.
Our line was not just concrete. It was the will of every Finnish soldier, fighting for his own home, in his own forest.
Our army was small, but in this snow, our men were ghosts. They were everywhere, and they were nowhere.
We saved our nation, but the price was high. A marshal's hardest duty is not to fight, but to know when to stop. I was a soldier of the Tsar, a marshal of Finland, and finally, a president. But always.
I am Mark Clark. I was the youngest lieutenant general in our army. My job wasn't to wait for victory. My job was to take it.
The beachhead was crumbling. I told there is no retreat.
Italy was a fortress. Every mountain, every river, a new battle. The Rapido, it was a terrible, terrible price to pay.
They wanted me to trap an army, but I saw the prize, the eternal city. I made the decision, and I took Rome.
They called it the Guts and Glory Show. It was guts, all right. My men, they gave everything for that long, hard road.
I am Rodion Malinovsky. From the fields of France to the hills of Spain, I learned that the enemy is the same, and he must be fought.
At Stalingrad, Manstein tried to break our ring. My second guard's army was the wall. He did not pass.
This was my home. We were not just advancing.
From the Dnieper to the Danube, Budapest, Vienna, my second Ukrainian front, we did not stop. We did not know how.
As Minister of Defense, I held the fate of the world in my hands. My job was not to win a war, but to prevent one.
My panzers were the spearhead. In Russia, our method was speed.
Stalingrad. We were 30 miles away, but the close.
At Kursk, it was steel against steel.
We were inside a furnace. Every mile was...
Returned. After Kursk, the war was different. My job was no longer to advance.
They called it a crime. I called it my duty. I was a soldier. I obeyed.
Junk bullet, every bullet here was a precious thing. They thought we would attack by sea. I used the bicycle. Speed. Surprise. That is how you defeat an arrogant enemy. They thought Singapore was impregnable. Fortress Singapore. It fell in 70 days. A joke. The city was ours. So easily. They never expected us to come through the jungle. They never understood.
They condemned me, but I fought for my emperor. I was a soldier, and I accepted my fate.
France was at the table, not as a supplicant, but as an ally. Her honor was my demand.
I am Charles de Gaulle. While others surrendered, I attacked. I showed them France could fight.
France is not a follower, not of Washington, not of Moscow. France has her own destiny, her own voice.
My life was France. Her dignity, her future. I leave her now.
Paris. Paris liberated. To walk amongst my people, this was the moment. France was whole again.
I am Heinz Guderian. France was just the beginning. Do not stop. Do not give them time.
In France, we did not fight a battle. We were the battle. Across the Meadow. This was Blitzkrieg.
Russia was not France. The scale was inhuman, but the principle was the same.
They stopped me at the gates of Moscow. They stopped the advance. The machines froze. The men froze.
I wrote the book. I proved the theory. The war was lost by others. My panzers were the revolution.